Juicy, thinly sliced ribeye, melty, warm cheese, all on a pillowy, soft, yet crusty roll. Today we're in Philadelphia and we're talking Philly cheesesteaks. Not just any Philly cheesesteaks though, we're talking the best. We're gonna be putting up the Davids against the Goliaths. I have 12 hours to hit 16 cheesesteak spots.
I want a cheesesteak from the city of brotherly love. I want a cheesesteak, it's the one I'm thinking of.
So for me, a perfect cheesesteak is a few things. I want ribbons of steak, not small pieces of minced-ish meat. I'm gonna order mine with whiz and with onions. And then I'm looking at the roll too. I want a soft roll with a crispy, kind of like crumbly outside. When I hit the roll, it should crackle a little bit, but the inside should be super soft. And then also, does it taste good? That's what we're looking at. We're on 9th and Passyunk. You knew we were gonna come. Between Pat's and GENO'S. These aren't just two of the most well-known steak places in the city. These are two of the most well-known in the world. It's 9:30 a.m. I'm about to eat my first cheesesteak. Let's get this day going. All right, so I ordered mine cheese whiz and onions. Some people would order that whiz wit. That just means cheese whiz, onions. Remember when I was talking about steak being ribboned? That's what we're looking for. It's not like minced, doesn't look like ground beef. There's pieces of steak, actual pieces of ribeye in there. It was a little sectioned off. It's just on one side of the roll. One thing I like about the cheese in a good cheesesteak is that it gets all up in the meat. But enough talking, let's eat this thing. So what I was talking about with the whiz, first bite was awesome. Top, got the cheese. Bottom bite, a little bit dry. Wasn't any moisture from the cheese in there. The onions are cooked just the way I like them. They're on their way to being caramelized. And the roll, outside, a little bit crispy. Not as crispy as I want it though. I feel like the texture on this roll could be better. According to history, this is the original cheesesteak. I'm not gonna name it anything else. Pat's the original. All right, let's look at the GENO'S steak. Big ribbons of steak, bigger than Pat's. Onions look like they're cooked about the same, but here the whiz seems like it's spread a bit more throughout. The whiz is all throughout all the steak, but again, I just want a little more cheese. Not as many onions as Pat's. The steak is not as seasoned as I'd want it to be. I don't know if they necessarily blend into the perfect cheesesteak in my opinion. I mean, look, there's a GENO'S gear shop across the street. I think I've seen 14 GENO'S signs. This is the commercial steak. We had 2 steaks so far. We started with the 2 Goliaths, Pat's and GENO'S. Right now, Pat's is sitting on top for me.
Turn left on South Broad Street.
We're on 23rd and West Passyunk, still in South Philly, and we are at Phillips Steaks. I have a special guest who needs no introduction in the city of Philadelphia, my dad.
Hi, how you doing?
Something interesting here, they don't shred or chop the ribeye at all. It's like really big pieces. Definitely the most whiz we've had so far. The way they constructed it keeps the whiz from getting on the onions, and it doesn't meld and get all beautiful in one like kind of weird congealed fatty mess. What do you think, Dad?
I think it's good, but it's crucial that everything melts into the inner part of the bread.
The bread, yeah.
And that soaks it up, and then you get the full flavor.
In every bite, you want to get every flavor in
single
every bite.
Yeah, especially at like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning.
There you go. It's a unique technique that's going on here in terms of building. I'm gonna call this one the architect steak. We're coming out of Ralph and Ricky's, real neighborhood joint in there. Super small, it's a pizzeria. They also do cheesesteaks. That looks good. Lots of whiz, onions cut to the right size, not too big, not too small. Ribbons, but not so big that the cheese can't get in there. Roll, perfect. It's an Iversa bakery roll. My only critique on this, I'd want maybe a little more steak. This, so far, this is the best cheesesteak we've had. What's the nickname for this steak? This is a neighborhood joint. Truly, this is the neighborhood steak. I'm on to number 5. We're at Tony Luke's. That's a cheesesteak. Whiz all up in the beef. So that consistency that I've been talking about, getting every single aspect of the cheesesteak in every bite, that just happened twice. You got that crispiness on the outside of the roll, You have the steak that's completely coated in the whiz, and you get onions in every bite. What's the nickname for this steak? It's got to be the Iverson steak, because it leaves its heart on the floor every single game. 2 more cheesesteaks. Stop number 6. All right, we're at John's Roast Pork. Okay, so we got some different stuff going on with John's. They don't do whiz here, so white American it is. That's my second choice. We've got a sesame seed bun. Outside of the bun, already, I can tell, nice and crispy. Inside, feeling real soft. Cheese, all up in the meat. Meat's in ribbons, not too big, not too small. Onions look like they're chopped just about perfect. It's a great, great application of the white American because it's all over every ribbon of steak in here. The steak itself is perfectly seasoned. If you've noticed, we're a ways out from the city center right now. We're out of Center City. We're not quite in South Philly proper. So this is the Oasis steak. Get in your car and drive here. Or a boat, I guess. I don't know. To you, what makes a perfect cheesesteak? What's your criteria?
I mean, as a Philly native, I can't tell you the last time I've had one sober. Not really something you get on the way to work, you know.
The Phillies poster, you know. Gooey Louie's. This is definitely the most secluded spot that we've been to so far. Interior-wise, maybe my favorite. It's like a true hoagie shop and grocery. They're slinging cheesesteaks, they're slinging hoagies, just a good crew in there. Very nice people. This is probably the most finely chopped steak we've seen so far. And again, they don't serve whiz. Hot. So this isn't my preferred method of pulling or slicing or chopping the steak. The one thing you can definitely see about this is that it's a lot of steak. And that's why this steak is called the behemoth steak. Got a nice waterfront view. We're on Pier 40 at Shank's. We're back on the whiz train. That sounds so bad every time I say it. Shank's cheesesteak down the hatch. Okay, so I get a lot of onion flavor. The onions are cut really big. They're very noticeable. The roll feels a little thin. This isn't necessarily one of my favorites I've had today, but come on, you're on the pier. The waterfront steak. Campo's. This looks like it might be the most whiz heavy that we've gone today. I gotta tell you, like right now, I don't want to eat cheesesteak. Not because of the actual cheesesteak, just because of how I'm feeling. Good seasoning on the meat, a lot of cheese on top, not a lot on the bottom. So that second bite I took, a little bit dry. This neighborhood is also a little bit different from everywhere else we've been before. This is the neighborhood where all of those guys that signed the Declaration of Independence, they lived over here. This is the Market Street steak. A little more polished, not as rough around the edges, but maybe needs a little of that South Philly personality. Steak is on the smaller side. Not huge ribbons, but still ribbons. Onions, looks like there's not that many of them. And I feel like this bun is on the softer side, not as crispy. This is incredibly soft. Very soft cheesesteak. There's no crisp on the outside. There's no crisp on the steak. It's not a bad cheesesteak by any means. It's just not my favorite. I feel like this is the 3 a.m. steak. Maybe you're getting out of the bar. This will do the job. Steaks. Second best place to eat a cheesesteak besides a table, a mailbox. These cheesesteaks carry a lot of nostalgia for me. Middle school Alex was all about going to a show at the TLA, pumped up on whoever just played. You would walk the half block to Jim's and get a steak. The thing that I love about Jim's is that they have a very specific technique for putting the whiz on. They'll do a big slab on the bread, throw the meat on there, throw the onions on top of the meat, and then they'll finish it with whiz again. Finely chopped. Not the ribbons, but there's so much whiz going on. I'm not like thinking about, I want more moisture in there. Are people shouting at us? Nice. Those guys in there, they're churning, they're burning, they're on an assembly line. You're getting the same exact cheesesteak every time. They're professionals in there, and this is the professionals' cheesesteak. Oh, we got some juicy boys right here. We're at Woodrow's Sandwich Shop on South Street. We've been eating whiz all day. It's been exactly the same, not at Woodrow's. Here they make theirs in-house. It's a blend of American cheddar and provolone with a little bit of truffle oil in there, just for some extra flair. This is crazy good. The steak and the onions are crazy flavorful, probably the most flavorful that I've had. It's the Bed Bath & Beyond steak. Let me explain. I'd eat it in my bed, I'd eat it in the bath, and they're going beyond anything else that's going on in cheesesteaks in Philly right now. Yeah, another bite, justified. A little surprise addition here. This is a cheesesteak, kind of. This is a vegan cheesesteak. In full transparency, this is not gonna be my #1 cheesesteak. I already know that, I haven't eaten it. For the sake of curiosity and science, I still have to try it, right? That's surprisingly good. The non-cheese, non-steak Philadelphia cheesesteak, I'll sign up. Italian market cheesesteaks. We're at Lorenzo's Pizza on Christian and South 9th Street. So this, and it's not even close, is the cheapest cheesesteak we've had today. 2 cheesesteaks, big ones, 15 bucks. We got a lot of whiz on here. It's the first thing I notice. I'm not sure, I can't confirm this, but I think this might be a different brand of whiz. It doesn't have that slight tang that Kraft whiz has. But the beef itself, not as much whiz as I want all over it. I don't think we're looking at #1. This is the sidewalk steak. You buy it, you eat it, walking down the sidewalk through the Italian market, Saturday afternoon, you have yourself a day. We took a little bit of a hike. We went up to Schuylkill at Chubby's. I hadn't really noticed this all day, but this is the first place we've been to that was, actually no, maybe second place, that was serving beer. But the vibe in here is kind of like a diner. You go in, there's a big, long counter, old school stools, couple taps, you get your lager, you order your cheesesteak, and they sling it out real quick. Plenty of whiz, plenty of salt. Like I suspected, the roll, a little bit too soft. Overall, solid steak. Chubby's, I'm going based off the vibes. This is the diner steak. Just minutes to spare at our final stop at Dalessandro's, and this is my last cheesesteak. Look at that. Not cut in half, so I guess they just want you to go for it. Super finely chopped. This is actually probably the finest chop we have today. There's enough whiz on there to counteract the super fine chop, so it doesn't get that dry. Dalessandro's, I'm calling it the extra mile steak. It's quality all across the board. You drove the extra mile to get out here. It was worth it. 16 Philly cheesesteak spots in 12 hours. We did it. We cut it close. I feel pretty terrible. Sitting at third, Woodrow's Sandwich Shop. Those guys are doing cool new stuff. They're making their whiz in-house, and they're really putting that new age love and care into that steak. It's delicious. #2, it's a roast pork place that also serves a phenomenal cheesesteak. John's Roast Pork, phenomenal place, so much history there. #1, if I could go back right now after eating 16 steaks and eat another one, sometimes the Goliaths do it right, and Tony Luke's does. That perfectly ribboned steak, that melty cheese all up in there, those onions, every single bite, the perfect roll, crispy on the outside, soft and pillowy on the inside. Everything about a Tony Luke steak, I want, I love, I need. Come on, it doesn't get more Philly cheesesteak than that. Gritty, under an overpass, Come on, that place doesn't exist anywhere else because it can't exist anywhere else. Guys, this is my list of favorite cheesesteaks. You might be upset we didn't get to yours, but hey, don't be quiet about it. Let us know in the comments below. I'm Alex Delany. Thank you, Philadelphia. Thank you guys for hanging out. Bon Appetit.
I want a cheesesteak. We work as hard as